If you've been keeping up with the Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern storylines that are going on in DC Rebirth, then you know that Jon Stewart has managed to merge the Yellow Lanterns and the Green Lanterns. But what happens when there's a fracture between them and a civil war begins and no one can trust anyone? In our last video, Hal and the Lanterns faced off against the foe Sarko, who came from the future wanting to rid the universe of the Green Lanterns. After battling with the physical form of Krona's gauntlet, Sarko was defeated, but Kyle Rayner learned that Sarko was in fact his son. To hide the truth from Sora, Kyle hid the fact that he learned of Sarko's origin, and he's now living with the fact that his own son is dead. But in Space Sector 1800, the planet Vault lies. Vault itself is the largest bank in the cosmos, keeping itself as a neutral site where there are no allegiances. Keeping this planet shielded from all forms of attack is an elderly man who has an impeccable record of employment. But this man has been persuaded to perform a task far too technical for him to even comprehend, and the result has led to the fall of the shield around the vault. Over in Space Sector 0, the sentient planet Mogo, Salic and Jon Stewart receive a distress call from Vault that their shields have finally fallen. Within seconds, Jon issues orders to 5 teams from the Delta Shift, telling them that they're going to respond, and leading them will be Field Commander Hal Jordan. Back in the vault, Bolfunga leads his raiders planetside and they begin to drain the bank's coffers. But as one of the captains warns that they don't have much time, Bolfunga tells her that he will be known as the one who brought the vault to their knees. Stories will be told of the Selphide raiders at every port from here to Smuggler's Corridor. But Hal's voice tells him, if you want a story, we're going to be the ones writing the ending. Bolfunga shouts to his raiders to fire at the lanterns, and soon the entire planet becomes an all-out war zone. As one of the raiders flies by, Guy tells the driver to do him a solid and not pull over. He then knocks him out of the sky. The Yellow Lantern Arquillo begins wrapping up some of the raiders' ships with a yellow snake construct, and he tosses them, shouting, "Little mice cannot run once tangled in a serpent's coil!" Guy asks, "What kind of trash talk is that?" Meanwhile, Tomar 2 and Phantasma begin to get overrun when Tomar 2's shields begin to break. Before being shot out of the sky, Hal flies by shielding the 2 lanterns, and he releases a barrage of construct missiles, taking out the remaining forces. As the smoke clears, he floats down to Bolfunga, telling him that it's his move now. While being detained, Bolfunga says that he demands a conference with the Corps leader. Hal says that he's sure Jon would love that. He then turns back to Tomar 2, asking what's happening. Tomar 2 says that it was not Phantasm's fault, it was his, and then he jets off. Hal tells Kilowog to stay back and assist in the vault's recovery. Get the shields back online as soon as possible. Kilowog says, "Oh, that won't take long. The casualties were light. The raiders were using stun weapons." As the raiders begin to get brought to Mogo, Kyle tells Sora that he would have never guessed it, but it looks like Jon really did bring the Green and the Yellow Lanterns together. At the beginning of the entire Rebirth storyline, the Yellow Lanterns were brought by Soranik over to join the Green Lanterns to become a force for good, now that she is the leader. She did not want to become the new Sinestro. She wanted to lead them as a force of good. Soranik watches and says that if their 2 sides can resolve their differences and get together, anyone can. And then she holds Kyle's hand. She goes on and says that she made a promise. If they survived Sarko's attempt to erase the Corps, she'd give them a second chance. She would be with Kyle Rayner again. Kyle thinks back to what Sarko said, and then he holds out a Green Lantern ring. He tells her that he asked Jon for her old ring. And with everything that she's gone through, maybe it's time to return to the Green Lanterns, where she belongs. She says that she can't leave the Sinestro Corps. She is their leader. They all count on her. Kyle begins to fly off, leaving the ring, telling her, just think about it. For me. Over in the science cells, Jon and Hal begin to interrogate Bolfunga, and Hal demands to know how the shield was dropped and why were their guns set to stun. Because of him, this whole thing is too big for his small brain. It must have been an inside job. Bolfunga laughs, telling him the non-lethal approach was the price for having the viral cube delivered to the geezer working at the generator. Jon says, "Tell me who's behind this, and we might go easy on you." Bolfunga laughs again, telling him, "You have no idea. You will release me, and proof will be made public that will destroy the Lantern's little alliance. There is a bad cop in your ranks. The Green Lanterns murdered a member of the Sinestro Corps." Jon stares at Bolfunga, telling him, "You have proof of a committed murder?" And Hal says, "I call that bluff. There's no way someone would have done that." Jon tells Hal that's enough, and Bolfunga says that Stewart was always the brains behind the outfit. Jon says, "Yeah, I'm also impatient with criminals who try to jerk me around." Bolfunga smirks, stating, "To the point. I could respect that. So you're gonna release me, or a recording will be broadcast that shows the Green Lantern murdering a member of the Sinestro Corps." As Jon leaves, Bolfunga tells him, Don't wait too long. If I'm not back by tonight, the broadcast is gonna go out, and I'm the only one who can stop it. As the two lanterns leave, Hal says that he really can't be thinking that this is true, and Jon tells him no. We have to investigate the claim. We've come too far to break this all down. Hal shouts, "We're being played! And when you're ready, come find me so that I can tell you I told you so." And he flies off. Jon stares behind his eyes, stating that he hopes he's wrong about this. What if Belfunga is telling the truth? He will never allow him to prove it. Over in the mess hall, Hal stops to see Soranik to ask if Tomar 2 has been there since he has been feeling sick. Soranik tells him no, and if he's sick, her door is always open. Hal says that it sounds like Tomar 2 hasn't been right since they got back from the fight with Sarko. Sora thinks about it and realizes that Kyle has also been acting strange since that fight as well. Out in space above Mogo, Guy and Arkillo are setting up to follow on Belfunga's claims, when Guy reaches out to his old friend Space Cabby. Cabby asks what does he want, and Guy says that it's about the Selphoid Raiders. He needs to know where they stash things they really don't want people to know about. Over in Space Sector 1798, aboard the Selphoid Raider stronghold, two guards laugh about how with these defenses, no one will ever get in. Both Guy and Arkillo float down wielding two giant hammers, telling them, "Ha! We'd like to accept that challenge." The stronghold forces begin to attack the lanterns, and just as they target Guy, Arkillo pushes him out of the way so he can take the hit. As Arkillo floats there lifeless, Guy shouts, "All right, now I'm mad! No one takes a punch for Guy Gardner!" Arkillo begins to wake back up, and Guy shouts, "Come on! Someone hit me!" Back over at Mogo, Soranik visits the morgue to look over Sarko's body, and she tells Vaz that she would like to do a full autopsy on it. Vaz says that Raynor could have done him a favor by not bringing that body back. He was a villain from the future. Sora looks at the body and says, out of all of the criminals, what makes Kyle care about this one so much? Over at the Raider stronghold, Guy and Arkillo make their way inside to the inner chambers, and after beating up a guard with a cinder block construct, Guy asks, "Where do you keep the good stuff?" The guard points at the stronghold, and Arkillo rips off the door. And that's when he sees a small purple creature. He says, "A Voldarian spy imp? You Raiders are getting your butt stomped for this cute little fella?" Back in the morgue, Sora begins her tests on Sarko when her ring begins to read a full genetic profile of him. The first part says that the subject is 50% human, and the genetic markers match one human in their database, Kyle Rayner. Soranik is surprised, and she just shouts, "What?" Further analysis. The scan continues, and it says that there is 50% of Kurgan DNA detected as well. Genetic markers match two Kurgans in the database, Thal Sinestro and Soranik Nadu. Meanwhile, over in the barracks, Hal stops by Tomar 2's room to check on him, and as he enters the room, he finds Tomar 2 is almost drained of power. At the same time, he begins to review the data stored on the spy imp, and his eyes widen. The recording begins to play, and a video of Tomar 2 killing a Yellow Lantern is shown. Back in Tomar 2's room, Hal sees why Tomar 2 has been feeling sick. He's been using his ring to keep the Yellow Lantern's ring that he killed contained, so that it would not seek a new user. Tomar 2's story begins to unfold. Back when him and Phantasm were looking for the remaining Yellow Lanterns to take them in and offer them a chance to work with the Green Lanterns, the Yellow Lantern, Romont Rue, said that it didn't matter to him. They can place him in one of those science cells, it won't stop him from getting out there and killing children. Tomar 2 asks how could he, and Romont Rue laughs. "Ha ha ha! Why waste time killing adults? Their lives are behind them. Children, though, hell, I could have even stopped you from becoming a Green Lantern." But as Romont Rue holds out his arms to get arrested, Tomar 2 doesn't make cuffs, and instead he incinerates Romont Rue. Back in Tomar 2's room, Hal shouts, "You did it, didn't you? That's why there's a yellow ring here." Through Tomar 2's heavy breaths, he says, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." And that's when Jon Stewart enters the room telling Tomar 2 that that isn't good enough. "Tomar 2, Green Lantern of Space Sector 2813, hand over your ring." Hal says, wait, this is Romont Rue, a serial killer of children. There has to be an explanation. And Jon says the Voldarian spy imp witnessed the whole thing. Romont Rue chose a science cell, and Tomar 2 lit him up. Hal stares for a moment. "No way. You're wrong about this." But Tomar 2 says, "It's true. I could have brought him in, but I killed him instead." Jon says it again, "Hand over your ring." And Tomar 2 pulls off his ring, and he says, "The only thing that's preventing Romont Rue's ring from finding a replacement is this. And once you take my ring, people will know. The peace will be broken." Jon tells him, "That's not your problem anymore." And with that, the box holding the yellow ring fades, and it falls to the ground. Hal looks at it and he asks, "How is the ring deactivated?" And Jon says he doesn't have an answer, and he tells Hal to make sure that Tomar 2 doesn't leave the room. Jon heads out, and Tomar 2 falls to his knees, begging for forgiveness, telling them that he's sorry. And Jon says, "Yeah, I'm sorry too." Outside, Kyle sits drawing, and he says even before he looks up, he knows who's right there. Soranik floats down staring at Kyle, and Kyle asks if she's given it any thought. She holds out her Green Lantern ring, and she crushes it, telling him, "You should have told me." The green explosion goes off, and as she opens up her hand, she says, "We had a son. Over in the science cells, Jon opens up the door to Belfunga's cell, and Belfunga says that if he stays here any longer, the secret's gonna be out. Jon slams Belfunga to the ground, telling him, "Shut up!" And Belfunga shouts, "This is your last warning." Jon tells him, "Do you mean that your crew has a secret stronghold out in Sector 1798? Yeah, you've all been arrested, and now I have your proof. So what was your plan? Hold this over Tomar 2's head forever? Was he the one who gave you the response times?" However, the problem was that the strain was too much for him. Jon grits his teeth and he says, "I've come to say two things. First is that you will serve every day of your sentence. And second, the Selfoid Raiders are locked up and they will be informed that their leader tried to strike a deal to save himself. With that, you'll be transferred back to the tiers in the morning, so you may as well enjoy your stay while you can." Belfunga gets up telling him, "You wouldn't. Get back here, Stewart!" Back outside, Kyle says, "I wanted to tell you, but feeling the pain of knowing that we had a son that had become a twisted and cruel individual like Sinestro, I didn't want to hurt you." Sorenik smacks Kyle's hand, telling him, "You don't want to see me hurt? I just did an autopsy on my own son. I saw it open his own chest. I'm a surgeon and I accepted that violence is what I have to do, but only this time, the corpse that I butchered was my own child." She punches Kyle, shouting, "My child!" Kyle tries to get up, telling her, "Wait, this isn't you. The yellow energy is flowing through you, Sorenik." And she says that this is her. She may be Nato by name, but she is Sinestro by blood. She takes out her fist, holding her ring, and she punches it into Kyle's chest, burning it in there. And then she tells him, "And you can't hide from your fear anymore. You will always remember it." Kyle rolls over with the Yellow Lantern brand seared into his flesh, burned forever. Meanwhile, over in the control room, Jon opens up a connection to all sectors regarding an important announcement. He tells the universe that his name is Jon Stewart and he is the leader of the Green Lantern Corps, though many of them will have questions. The first may be why he's even making this announcement. It is because while the Green Lanterns are the enforcers of the law, they aren't its masters. Anyone who wears a ring must hold themselves to a higher standard, and the Green Lanterns recently set aside a long-standing difference with the Sinestro Corps. However, it has come to his attention that during his efforts, one of them broke the law that he swore to uphold. Green Lantern Tomar 2 of Zadar has confessed to the murder of Yellow Lantern Romat Rue. There will be a trial and there will be a sentence. Law will be served. And at that very moment, people begin banging on Tomar 2's door, shouting, "Where is he?" The door is blasted open and the Yellow Lanterns shout to give them the murderer. The Yellow Lanterns flood Tomar 2's room and they demand that Hal Jordan hand him over. He tells them that Tomar 2 will stand trial. Anyone who can't accept that will have to go through him. Down below, Guy and Arkillo walk up holding Kyle's body, stating that they'll also have to go through them. Guy calls out to the crowd that someone burned a Sinestro Corps symbol into Kyle's chest. Back when I was a Baltimore cop, we'd call that a clue. Arkillo follows up shouting, "I warned you! I will make whoever harmed this Green Lantern pay! Who was it?" Sorenik looms over the crowd and she says that she is the one who branded Kyle Rayner. Arkillo asks, "Why?" And she says it is because he hid the truth from them. There was another of her bloodline, a direct descendant from her father, Sinestro himself. Hal asks Kyle what is she talking about, and Sorenik says, "Tell them. Tell everyone that Sinestro's descendant is dead because of the acts of the Green Lanterns." Sorenik then asks, "Is this what you call a partnership? One of yours murders Romat Rue, and yet you protect Tomar 2, and another learns of Sinestro's error, and you conceal it from us? What more waits to be revealed? You welcomed us to your planet, allowed us to construct our own central power battery, but it was all a scheme. You will never view us as equals. My leadership has brought them to this. When my father died, I thought that I could find a new way to go forward, but I was wrong. I have failed. My father was right. The universe deserves order. I believed in the cause of the Green Lanterns because I once wore their ring, but I see now that they cannot succeed. Sinestro was many things, but he was never a hypocrite. So as of now, the alliance is broken. We will take our battery to New Corrigar, and we will live once again in Sinestro's image. I am Sorenik Nato no more. It is time to claim the name that is mine by birthright. Sorenik Sinestro. As all of the Yellow Lanterns kneel, Jon tells Sora that it is time to think this through. All of our work, everything that we've achieved, you will be throwing it all away for nothing. And she says, that is all but empty talk. There is nothing more to be said. The Green Lanterns have revealed their true nature. A decision has been made. Jon turns to the crowds and he shouts, to any Yellow Lanterns who believe that there is a better way, stand aside. His offer of a truce still holds with them. A group of Yellow Lanterns step forward and say that they joined Sorenik at the Battle of Warworld because Sinestro's vision of fear was not their own. But they will now stand with the Green Lanterns. Some of the dedicated Yellow Lanterns begin to fly up towards Sorenik, and Guy looks at Arkillo stating, we had a good thing, but if we're gonna do this, we do this. Arkillo tells him that he swore long ago an oath, where Sinestro goes, he follows. Hal asks Jon what now, and he says that when they charge, they make them regret it. That's what. Soranik calls out to all of the Yellow Lanterns, and the Green Lanterns begin to prepare themselves for the oncoming fight. As the groups charge at each other, the Lanterns clash, hitting each other with everything that they can think of. While Jon and Sora struggle with each other, he tells her, "This is your last chance." And she shouts, "You are finished!" There will soon no longer be a Green Lantern Corps to even be salvaged. Jon tells her, "Never forget, you're the one who did this. Ring, execute package, codename Katma." Jon's ring says Katma initiated, and Soranik's ring gives out a warning, override detected. In a green flash, every yellow ring begins to drain out and they all state override detected. She shouts that no Green Lantern can stand before her. She is Sinestro! Hal floats down telling her, "That's how your old man talked, and look where it got him." She shouts that she felt it, the power of the universe's sphere pulsing through her ring, channeling from the central power battery too. And as she trails off, she looks at the battery, and then she looks at Jon, telling him, "You did this. Your offer of peace was a farce from the start." He tells her that when they helped to build the battery, they installed a safety measure. Think of it as a green impurity. Guy laughs, telling Jon, "I just fell in love with you for that." She stares at Jon in the eyes and she tells him, "This isn't the end." And Jon says, "If you want to go, go. But stay on the straight and narrow, because the Green Lantern Corps can and will take you down." With that, the Yellow Lanterns look to the skies, and down on Mogo, Jon sighs, stating that they were so close. The following day, the Yellow Lanterns who didn't follow Soranik were sworn in as the new Green Lanterns, and Jon begins his sentencing for Tomar 2. At Tomar 2 and Hal's request, Jon allows his request that his ring be sent to his home world to choose his replacement. The ring shoots down to Zadar, where a young girl who lost her parents during the Starro invasion watches out her window. She doesn't watch in fear of another attack, but for something else. And with that, Tomar 2's ring selects Somar Lee of Zadar to be the next Green Lantern. However, in the antimatter universe, on planet Quard, there's an explosion as two bodies appear. Lysa crawls to a burned and charred body, stating, "Lord Sinestro, I felt it. We were lost, but the yellow light called us home." She picks up Sinestro's body, stating, "This is not our denouncement, so let it be so." And as she holds his hand, Sinestro's ring begins to shine bright, and the woman smiles. And there you have it. We have the Yellow Lanterns back to being evil. We have Sinestro alive, and if you want to find out where he went next, go to see our Superman Becomes Parallax video. I'll give you that link down below. And don't forget, this is just the beginning, because there's a lot of epic things happening to the Green Lantern, such as the return of the new gods. So subscribe to this channel to keep up to date as to what is happening with Hal Jordan and the other Green Lanterns. And don't forget, you can check out our entire Green Lantern mythos somewhere up here. Somewhere else is something recommended by YouTube. And I'll see you next time right here.